We are live.
All right, let's dive right into it. It's a very special day. May 7th. It's a day that will live on in our memories forever and ever. May 7th, Petco Park, San Diego, California, where the improbable happens, the unthinkable happens.
The impossible has happened. Bartolo Colon.
Do you believe in miracles? Bartolo Colon goes yard off a big game James. One of my favorite sports moments one of my favorite moments in human history, a moment that everybody should celebrate, not just Mets fans, not just the fats of the world. Everybody should celebrate this one. Look at this. Pow! Look at that. And so it begs the question, and I hate to do it to myself, but I'm a man of honor and I'm going to do it. This is one of those moments where you say to yourself, where were you when? And I have to say happy anniversary to Joe Muley and his beautiful wife, Ann, because that's where I was on May 7th. I was at a wedding, and I didn't get to see Bartolo Colon hit that home run. I only got to get texts about it and hear it through the grapevine and relive it on replay because I was at a wedding that didn't have TVs, and it was on the beach, so I got no reception, so I didn't know what was happening. I'll explain that situation a little further, but first, Clem, where were you when Bartolo went deep?
I was driving home from my in-laws, and
We both missed this, right?
And your brother too. So all three of us missed it. And I had been saying, if you go back on Twitter history, ever since I got hired, I always said, like, whenever you were like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I go, tonight's my night, I'm going to vlog the Bartolo Colon home run. It was always like my running joke, right? Mm-hmm. And then the impossible happened. And it was, I still remember, like, I said to my wife, I said, all right, let's get on the road now. Like, the game had just started. At that point, Sienna was, she was probably 1.5 at that point. So she's really young. We load her up and we're like, got to take a baby an hour. It's an hour drive, so it's not that much. I'm not thinking at this point Tolo's going yard because at this point.
Who would? Nobody's thinking that.
And I'm sure you had the same thing. Like, I'm driving the car and I just happen to like move my phone and I see I have like 3 mixed texts from different people. And your heart just drops. You're like, what the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on? What did I miss? And you're thinking either it's like something bad happened or something good happened. Yep. And in this case, it was one of the greatest things, which then became one of the worst things because we missed the impossible.
Yeah, I was going to say, which do you qualify this as? Well, there's also a certain you can tell what's going on by who's texting you. You know what I mean? Like when I get a bunch of texts from like a bunch of Boston people, I'm like thinking something happened with the Patriots, the Red Sox, or whatever. When I get a bunch of texts from Mets fans and Yankee fans, I know that something is afoot. And it was like some people knew where I was and were kind of rubbing it in my face. Other people were just happy for me. People were coming out of the woodwork. Like I was getting texts from people that I hadn't heard from in a long time. So I didn't know what was going on. And I remember having to run away from the venue, like holding my phone up like it was 1998, where you still thought like if you had your antenna up and you got higher, that somehow was going to get you like, yeah, maybe if I get 24 inches closer to the satellite, I'll get better service. And I was just scrambling, trying to figure out what it was that happened. And it was Bartolo going deep. And I mean, out of everything that it could have been, that was the last thing on my mind. Like the thing in the world that I thought could have happened. And it's funny because you said that used to say that all the time. I had a tweet earlier that year. Maybe Kyle can try to dig this one up. I think it was like in March. I said, this is the year. Bartolo is going to hit a home run this year, and it will be the best moment of my life. And it happened, and I didn't get to see it. And I mean, you got to remember, if you were riding with me back then, you understand. If you're new, you don't get it. Like, Bartolo was my guy. He was, I mean, Big Sexy was like one of my biggest blogging things ever, and the Mets fans embraced him. Tolo was our dude. It was more than just like, oh, you know, fat pitcher hit a home run. It was like, this is the journeyman that's been all around the league, but Mets fans were the ones who recognized his greatness and his humor and everything that was great about him. And so it was that much more special. And I missed it. Missed it. And you know what? And the thing is, you know what? I don't know what's worse, Clem. You tell me. What's worse? Missing Tolo's home run or missing Gary Cohen's call of Tolo's home run? Because it's so good. You can hear it in Gary's voice. It's not professional even by a long shot. It's pure fandom and excitement. And at that moment, Gary Cohen became like a 10-year-old boy again and was just over the fucking moon. And then the Mets give him the silent treatment in the dugout.
Yep.
It's just, mwah. It was all that is baseball. They became little leaguers in that moment. And it was so pure and so good. It was the shot heard around the world.
I like to think that they had a plan, like when Bartolo first, like, because remember when Bartolo first got to the Mets, he had spent so much time in the AL at that point, and it got so much bigger than when he was with the Expos, that like his swings were like legitimate must watch, because he would just the helmet would fall off, he was fucking falling over.
Yeah.
He was a cartoon character basically.
The amount of like memes and photoshops that were going around with his swings, when his helmet would fall off, the faces, the grunts he would make when he would put the ball in play and just like walk down the baseline. Like, there was so many great moments just from his swings that when he actually went yard, it was that much better. As we talk here, I'm gonna dig through and try to find some of the relics of Tolo merch gear.
Oh yes. I should have I had my Big Sexy shirt on the other day too. Today's the day to wear it, as it turns out. But yeah, I mean, those things is when he connected though, like when he would get his hits, we're like, this guy, oh, there it is. That's the
one. I'm seeing if I can find that right now. I got so many old Barstool shirts, but that one, that's something that I feel like I should frame. You know,
this shirt didn't get enough play, man. That was so great.
Shirt we ever made. The Shea Stadium neon with the fat belly and the helmet falling off and the Big Sexy font. That I feel like we should run that back. And I mean, I know he's no longer there, but god damn, that's a, no pun intended, sexy shirt.
The fact that he embraced the name too, and they brought the shirts in, and he like kind of does he have something in his book or something, or his like handle? It says Big Sexy. Like, he adopted Big Sexy as his own.
I think he made I think he wrote like a autobiography or something that that he called himself Big Sexy in it, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't find this shirt. Lord knows.
So the fact that, and then when he connected, we were like, oh, like he has, like, everyone always say like, dude, this guy's more athletic than you guys are giving him credit for. And the behind the back throw that he had in fucking Miami.
Like so cat out there, you know?
Yeah. The fact that they had the silent treatment ready for him. Then also, remember, it was because it was right after the Derby, and it was like Nyquist ran around the entire track in 26 seconds. It took him 31 to get around the bases. Yeah, there it is. The Big Sexy, Bartolo Colon in his own words.
You know what's crazy? I've never read that. I can't believe I haven't read that. That's got to be one of the best books fucking ever.
I mean, remember he had the donkey named, I think, Pancho, who was like his donkey that he grew up with. Like, I can only imagine the story. I don't know if we're going to get the multiple families inside of things, but I mean, if you want to throw that in, that would make it much material.
You could write a serious book on Tolo. But man, I remember I was kind of I was in the doghouse that night because I was like, we were at this nice wedding, and I was distraught. I really was. I got to be honest. I was being like a child. I was being like a petulant little baby over this one. And, we're supposed to be dancing and socializing and catching up with friends and congratulating. And I was just sitting there moping. And I knew in the moment that I was being an asshole. I knew I was being like so immature. But I was fucking heartbroken, man. Like, that was all I ever wanted to see. And it's so funny because it goes along with the KFC mush. It goes along with what I always say about the Mets is that even when things go good, they go wrong. We make it to the World Series, we blow it in heartbreaking fashion. We have the best team in the league, and we lose to the fucking 83-win Cardinals. We, Beltron down looking. It's just like, no matter what, there's a way for things to go wrong. So even when I'm pretty sure I said hypothetical things like, would I rather this or that? And I think I said like crazy stuff about the Bartolo home run. Like, I'd rather that happen than them like make the playoffs or like stupid shit. So it was that important to me. So the fact that I missed it, and the fact that it's a one and done. It's never happening again.
Yep.
It's Halley's Comet times a million. Like, you will not see this again. There won't be another one. It was I think I was almost justifiably immature. It was like, yes, I'm being a total jerk, but come on, give me this one. I think I deserve it.
Let me tell you, I was being, I don't know if the word is jerk, but I was being an asshole about it myself because you were gone. And I know I got to get this blog up, right? Because especially this is back in the day where it was like blogs have, I think everyone we try to always get the blogs up ASAP. But I know you're out. I'm calling you and you're like, I'm on the beach. Like, at this point, I'm trying to get in touch with you. I think I texted you.
I couldn't even make phone calls or texts. I had that little service, let alone forget about seeing video and highlights. I couldn't even get in touch with you guys to be like, what's going on? Who's getting the blog up? What's happening? It was brutal.
And I'm driving on the Bear Mountain Expressway, and there's there's just dead spots. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I got to get this blog up. I don't want anyone else to get it because I know it's a page view monster. Plus, like, it's your beat, and you don't want anyone else taking the big stories from your beat, and you don't want to like let the stoolies down. To be honest with you, like that's a big reason why I always try to get it up and try to be as funny as possible. So I remember I parked in the Bear Mountain Inn. It took like 20 minutes. I'm driving like an asshole in the middle of the night, and Sienna is screaming her head off. And I'm blogging on my phone on the old WordPress site, and it sucks on the phone, and it's a goddamn nightmare. And I'm trying to make jokes. I'm trying to get as many tweets and like videos of it as possible. You know how shitty all this stuff is. And we're doing all this with a shitty back end. I'm doing it on cell phone service with a screaming like 18-month-old in the back of the car. My wife's there too. Like, what the fuck did I sign up for with this asshole? And I was kind of like, I'm like screaming at the kid. I'm screaming at myself. I'm screaming at the baseball gods for doing this to me and missing me. And you're also having like that, I can't believe I missed that moment. And I was a petulant child as well, I'm sure. I'm such a magical moment, which is like you said, it's so fucked. At least I could say you deserve that because you didn't tell your mom about the Johan Santana thing, which at the same point, it might not have happened if you had told her. I can't even get on you anymore because there is a chance.
It's possible. It's possible.
I got the card though. I did buy the Bartolo Colon baseball card, which goes for like a decent amount on eBay these days, considering how like just ridiculously stupid it is. I gotta see. I bought it and it was like $10 or whatever. I was like sold, and I think it goes for like $50 or something, just because they only printed it once, and it's like, when the fuck else are you gonna buy a Bartolo Colon home run card? So
you remember that season. There was the picture. I just tweeted it out. Go to my timeline at Caves to Barstool. Remember there was the fedora was out that season, the Mets fedora, and how there was that picture of Howie Rose. Actually, I'm gonna undo my retweet, and I forgot that Howie is now on Twitter. I gotta shout him out. It was a picture of Howie in the hat, and he was doing like the limp wrist for some reason. Yeah. And I after every win, I would put it in the books with that picture, and that was like the only like relic I had of that night. God, May 7th, 2016. Can you do like an advanced search and find my tweets from that night? Like, I want to know when I finally got service.
A date that will live in infamy. I mean, I updated the blog. I got home and I updated the blog like 7 times that night, and everyone had probably read it already. But every time I found something without writing a new blog, I just kept making it better and better and loading it with everything that had like come out throughout the night. There, the guy did the it was like the stat track of him running around the bases and like his max speed and all that kind of shit. He held the bat for half the time because I don't think he
all the way down to first base, right? He almost rounded first with the fucking bat in his hand. Oh, it was perfect. Everything about it was perfect. I wouldn't change a thing.
Not a thing. Two things I love about it. One, I love it came off of James Shields because I always hated that he called himself Big Game James because he stunk at big games. Yeah. They have all the stats. He stunk. The name James with the James Worthy nickname, and it rhymes with Big Game. Everyone called him Big Game James. His career basically died at that point, as well it should. And I love that our guys at the 7 line, Darren put out a documentary today, like a little 20-minute like behind the scenes thing. I was so happy they got to witness it live.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Darren, like that's proof positive that there's karma in this world. And like the pessimistic asshole who's always been being rude and talking shit and down on the team, I don't get nice things. And Darren, who was forever supportive and ride or die, or I'm ride or die too. Let's not get that twisted. But like
93 wins.
Yeah, 93 wins. He thinks they're going to win the World Series every year, and he puts his heart and soul into it. To quit his job, took his balls in his hand, and made this empire. And so he gets rewarded by the sports gods. The fact that they took over Petco, I think they rolled deep that day. I think it was like 1,000 of them. They took over like the bars down in like what's it called, like the gas lamp district or whatever it's called.
District, yep.
District, and they got to see that. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was there live.
I wouldn't have survived the night because that's just one of those nights where you're just on like you're floating the entire night, and the beers you don't even taste them, you don't even feel them go through your body.
A lot of people, everything you just said, I agree with, and a lot of people, Yankee fans and other people were like clowning us for being this excited, and I'm like, fuck off, just fuck off. Like, you know, the highlight of your life as a sports fan was a regular season home run that a pitcher hit, and it's like. Yeah, it is.
Because, you want to fight about it?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, like we're not blessed with the best luck. We don't have that many winning seasons or championship moments to point to, and yet we're still here through fucking thick and thin. And when one of our guys, who by the way could have been your guy, Yankee fans, and about half the league, you could have had him be your big sexy. You could have embraced him the way that you should have. We see those things. We recognize those things. We know those type of players because we have to latch on to them because that's where our baseball happiness comes from. And had you recognized it when you had the chance, maybe you would have felt something like that. But you're used to the glitz and the glamour and being, starting on third base and sure, you have more championship moments. But I promise you that the feeling that Mets fans had, I can't even say that I had because I wasn't there. I don't know. But the feeling that we had is a pure baseball and sports fandom moment. It doesn't have to be a championship. It doesn't have to be a postseason clutch moment. It could be little things like that mean the fucking world, and I stand by that. I don't give a shit.
No, it's a day that it's one of the biggest moments, not in baseball history, not in sports history, not in mankind history, in the history of the universe. Everything. Galaxies far, far away. Everything here, there, and in between. Bartolo Colon hitting that home run. Gary Cohen being – because, like, there's another world where, like, Gary Apple's on the call, right? Oh, and it would have – that would have gutted us. Would you have traded – seeing the moment live, but Gary Apple's on the call?
No.
Or having it play out the way it did, but Gary's on the call?
Nope. See, here's the thing. I'm not a selfish Mets fan. I'm not. And that's why when people ask me, like, would you take a Mets World Series, but you don't get to watch it? Yes. Like, done. Let's go. By any means necessary. I'll do what it takes to get this team a championship, especially if people know. If everybody knows that KFC sacrificed himself, I'd be the hero. Yep. Done. But even if if they didn't, I would. And you know what? Only feeling stronger about that now through quarantine. I said this yesterday or today on the new episode of KFC Radio. Like the reason why I love The Last Dance so much is like it's everything that I really like about sports. It's the drama and the storylines and the experience of like of all the off the court and off the field things that I think I really enjoy about sports. I don't need to see the games themselves. I just need to know the rivalries and know how things unfolded and hear the quotes and the reactions. And that's where I get my juices flowing as a sports fan. Now that particularly like, to see it and hear it and the crack of the bat and yes, for sure would love to witness that one. But to take that away from Mets fans, like it wouldn't have happened if I had seen it. Like to take away Gary Cohen's call, that moment to replay it as we go on. There's fucking there's the infamous picture. See if there's any other tweets from May 7th because I really would love to know what I said afterwards. But yeah, if the rest of Mets fans had to have that ruined, and I feel so bad talking shit about Gary Apple, but he knows, right? I mean,
he knows.
Yeah, we're talking about the greatest of all time. He knows he's not Gary Cohen. It would not have been to relive it, to play it back nowadays. It would never have the same juice. So no, I would never make that trade.
What was it? Was it a Pete Alonso had was it the tying home run or whatever with Gary? And I remember people were like bummed about that, let alone when the impossible happens. And I'd like to think Gary might have had something in the chamber if that happened. Like you have to go into that game being like, all right, I have my Bartolo Colon in my pocket if I have to throw it on the table. But I mean, I don't know if anyone could do it like Gary does it. And Howie too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm pulling up
and the Spanish, when they go, hasta la vista, baby!
Let me see if I'm going to play Howie's call here. Or maybe, Kyle, can I play it or should I send it to you? I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Because I don't remember Howie's one. I remember Gary's one vividly.
Did Howie have the call? He did.
Yeah.
Did he? I think he did.
Yeah,
right?
hang on. I think this might be like the montage of it. So let me see if
That's right, the montage. That was
a chance. Up and going back. It's gonna go. Gonna drive to deep left field. It's got a chance. Up and going back. It's gonna go. Home run. Bartolo Colon. Repeating. Home run. Bartolo Colon. Right field might tear this ballpark down.
I love it. I mean, I give the edge to Gary on that one. Can we play? Let me play Gary's. Let me find the Gary's is just, his voice cracks and he's like a little kid again. But that is Bartolo.
Yeah, I blogged it today. It had to be blogged. It has to be blogged every day from here on out. This isn't even Bartolo Day. It's like the impossible day.
Looking for his first hit of the year. Oh, drives one. Deep left field. That goes up there. Back near the wall. It's out of here. Bartolo has done it. Impossible has happened.
The Ron Darling, that's the one that gets me every single time. He's like, that's just how everyone's just like spirit comes out of their body.
As Bartolo takes the long trot, his first career home run. And there'll be nobody in the dugout to greet him. This is great moments in the history of baseball. Bartolo Colon has gone deep. I want to say that was one of the longest home run trots I've ever seen, but I think that's how fast he runs. And give him his just due. His 226th career at bat. You knew if he ever made contact in just the right way, he was.
And there was Assman and Wilmer Flores were the first to greet him there. It's, Gary called it. He said, this is one of the greatest moments in baseball history. And I do remember some people clowning us about that. And no, man, no. This is not a Mets thing. This is a baseball thing. Gary Cohen knows more about this game than anybody. He knows more about dramatic moments than anyone. And that type of player with that persona all around the league, now in the NL, doing that is just it's an awesome, awesome sports moment. If you try to shit on that, then your bias is showing. Then you're just an asshole Yankee fan who's trying to stick it to Mets fans. Because if you can't appreciate that, you're a dick.
You're a dick, you're a hardo, or you're like one of those baseball robots who's like, well, technically that was 3%. It's like you are the worst. You are the reason we love baseball is for that exact reason. Like watching a bunch of people play a kids game, that's the little things that make it go around, and this was the biggest little thing that could ever have happened, basically, in my mind. And it's the reason we've spent like the last 25 minutes or whatever it's been talking, because it is an epic moment. It's everywhere. And Twitter is a buzz right now. Granted, we're in quarantine and you kind of have to just latch on to the good nostalgic stuff, but this is the day. Today, May 7th, is Bartolo Colon. Yeah. D-Day is, I don't even remember, D-Day is December, whatever. Bartolo Colon Day.
Our D-Day, it balances out. July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day, and everyone has their fun at our expense. Yeah. Well, we're going to make sure that we keep May 7th rolling every year as to balance that out and remind people that it's not all terrible here in Mets world. Although it is time to get into the Mets misery bracket, so we're going to have to keep this one the yin and the yang. We've done enough happiness. It's time to do our misery. The Mets bracket is brought to you by Coors Light. Every time we crack open this bracket, we got to crack open a cold one. It's the only way we can survive the Mets misery bracket. The reason why it's taking us so long, it's twofold. One, there's just so many moments and so much to discuss and so much to dive into that doing individual matchups takes hour time. And two is that if I were to experience all 64 matchups of this, I in one day I would die. It would be too much misery, and so you have to spread it out. It's brutal. And so what you should do is spread out your Coors Light. Make sure you enjoy them responsibly. Don't binge drink. Just sip on it, because the blue cold mountains, you need to take in every single sip, every single glug, and you need to experience it and embrace it and love it. The cold blue mountains are when you know that you're about to have an experience with your beer. That blue mountain lets you know it's time to kick back, have some beers, share some laughs, have some baseball memories, talk shop, and baseball and beer goes together like KFC and Clem, goes together like peanut butter and jelly. It's a combo that can't be topped. So whether we ever make it to the ballpark or not, I don't know. When we do, crack open a Coors Light. Whether we're watching simulated games at home on the couch, crack open a Coors Light. When you listen to us go through our Mets misery bracket, crack open a Coors Light. It's the only way to do this here, Mets life. Make sure the mountains are blue. Show me those mountains, Clem.
They're blue. They're blue. We're blue.
Oh,
we're blue.
Super colds only. All right.
And they say Coors Light, it's the beer that's made to chill. Bartolo Colon is the man, the pitcher, the man mountain that's made to chill. So Coors Light, I'm throwing it on Bartolo. It's the official beer of the New York Mets. It's the official beer of Bartolo Colon. What do you think about that? All the way from Golden, Colorado to wherever fucking Dominican stadium he's striking out 7-year-olds right now. Coors Light is the official beer of Bartolo Colon. I don't care what anyone says. Coors Brewing Company.
Do they make a statue of Bartolo the Swing? Like where his helmet's falling off and his guts out, the one we put on the shirt. I need like a statue. I was actually just thinking, what if I had a beer bottle that was shaped like that? Like if you could drink out of a Bartolo beer bottle. My next thing would be a statue. I need to immortalize that forever. So Clem's got his Coors Light out, so maybe he'll be able to get through this. We left off with Lasting's Village and the high five, and we left you on a cliffhanger because this year, the 4 versus 13 matchup, this is one of the all-time black guys for the Mets. Doc Gooden missing the 86 parade because he's in a fucking crack house. That's so bad. That really is the one. Like, if you had to think of a symbolic, moment for Doc for the 80s Mets, this right here personifies it and embodies the whole thing. It's this, man. Like, the most talented pitcher in the world. He got it done by the grace of God, kept his act together long enough to win a title. And then as soon as he did, it was just like, got to get my fix. You can find me in a crack house with a needle in my arm. It's just like, oh my God. It's really it's bleak. It's like, it's a dark thought that, he probably didn't even enjoy winning the World Series. Like that October to him was probably like, I can't wait to be done with this so I can just fucking cut loose. You know, he probably was doing enough here on the side to keep, no withdrawals or no like freakouts or whatever. But probably was just craving like a true bender, you know? And so it was like, nah, do I want to like celebrate this accomplishment? Nah, I just want to fucking get loaded. It's brutal.
The highest of the highs, like of your professional career, right? I mean, we're talking about parades every year that we just want to experience once. He has the parade that he is the ace of the team and the young ace for, and he is fucking on the. I mean, I think crack house is, I wouldn't say you're bottomed out. You're pretty fucking close to bottoming out, though.
I think that's pretty bottom, man. And I wonder, like, do we know, like, is that true? Is it like he was in a fucking, abandoned house with like a dirty mattress on the ground? Or was it just like he was partying with his friends? I'd love to know, like, exactly where he was and who he was with, because that could be some bleak imagery. None of it's good. But if he was like with his fancy drug connect and he's in like a mansion doing it, it's a lot different than if he was like in the gutter somewhere,
He was in, according to ESPN, which I think we should ask this if we ever have Doc on the podcast. Hey, Doc, welcome to the pod. So were you in a crack house? Was it it says here he was in a drug dealer's apartment and he was too high and paranoid to join them. That's what he had told E.46 about.
Yeah,
but that's also what he's admitting too, right?
Yeah,
and it's the projects of Long Island. So call that what it is.
I mean, that doesn't sound like it was glamorous. It doesn't sound like it was fancy by any means. So that versus Noah with the hand, foot, and mouth disease. New age shit. Super embarrassing. I remember this was right after fucking Caleb got hand, foot, and mouth disease.
That's right.
On the Dixie bus. And it also was double funny because he had just been in the news in the paparazzi with Call Me Daddy with her fingers down his throat. So hand, foot, and mouth when he's sucking on girls' fingers. And Daddy Dixie just got it from like touring the country of colleges. It's like, between Sam Darnold with his mono and Noble with hand, foot, and mouth, all my superstars are like kids in a college dorm. Jesus. Literally clean it up, guys.
That was very much LOL Mets, because in the end, did he miss like a start or two? Like he ended up coming back all right. They might have put him on the DL with, but again, this goes back to what we've always said. It's the PR where it's like, just say he's sick. He has the sniffles. He has something.
We don't need to hear that he has the same disease that my kid came home with from pre-K. His mouth is like the classic little kid's disease. I don't need to know that Thor has, the same disease as my 4-year-old daughter. Come on, guys. It's brutal. And by the way, I know this is a Mets podcast, but the Jets just went ahead and embarrassed themselves. Hubs sent me this. Did you see the thread the Jets put up?
I saw the thing where it's like, let's say one nice thing about our opponents.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Before we find out the order of our schedule tonight, we wanted to tweet one nice thing about each of our opponents. A thread. The Buffalo Bills, forever friends. The Broncos, Drew Lock is killing those Jeezy verses. Browns, SJ is the goodest mascot in the league with a picture of the dog. Arizona Cardinals, Cliff has the coolest living room. The Chargers' new uniforms are flames. I mean, shut the fuck up, guys.
Meanwhile, my beloved Giants, my Gypsy Giants, they tweeted out, they said like screenshot to see who you think we're going to play week 1. And it was all Cowboys logos. And that's funny. That's good. That's all you need to know. Cause it's like, that's been the running joke forever. And I think they actually nailed it out of the park. So it's nice to see you guys doing Met stuff and my team kind of being the Yankee. Well, I don't know if I want to be the Yankees. So I take it back.
Also, you got a long way to go, bro. The mighty have fallen.
Yes, that's true.
The Giants have been rock bottom for a long time now. It used to be like, oh, well, the Yankees and the Giants go together. And now it's like, I think you're leaning a little more towards Mets and Jets these days, brother.
I will say this. I kind of want to see, I was almost put a poll the other day. Which roster would you rather have right now, the Giants or the Jets? Because the Giants roster, I mean, I think we had a good draft. I feel like we're catching up to you, which is saying something to show where we are right now. When I'm hoping we're catching up to the Jets.
I think we are about to see a step forward from Sam Darnold that is going to put that debate to bed, because Sam Darnold is the real fucking deal. And it sucks that Robbie Anderson just left. And I know they didn't he doesn't have many weapons to work with. But when you look at the numbers he put up, he can sling the fucking ball, dude. And Danny Dimes was more hype and excitement than he was actual performance when you really look at it, Clem.
We'll see. He led rookie quarterbacks in passing touchdowns, and his biggest thing was the fumbles. I think Danny Dimes has weapons. He has Saquon. He has if Shepard stays healthy. Tate and Slayton was good.
Is true. But by the way, the fumbles is usually not just a thing that fixes.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think if he gets protected, if he just gets a little better at the pocket presence or whatever you want to call it, and I think in the end. I think what's going to happen, and this is honestly what I think Darnold is legit. I think he's going to have no fucking weapons, and if his offensive line doesn't get better, it's going to be a goddamn nightmare for him all over again.
I was very happy with their first round pick with Mekhi Becton, because if he pans out, he's a big boy with a high ceiling and offers a lot of protection. I would just keep drafting them, keep trading, keep buying. Give me all the protection you can possibly get, because when he's been fighting through mono and on his back half the time, he'll put up big numbers when he had the chance. I just, if it wasn't for the fucking goddamn mic'd up ghost segment.
Yes, I was gonna bring that. That was my next, because this is the thing you have, and as a Mets fan, I say this: you have to bake in the Mets, the Jets side of things happen that you cannot in a million years guess it's going to happen before it happens.
Yes, but this is what I'm saying to you is that I think you're closer to that with the Giants. I think that you're DJ is going to take a step forward and we've got all these weapons. It's going to be all good. I think you're more one of the clown organizations now where you should also be bracing for the worst to happen.
I will say, when Gettleman put his mask on when he was inside, I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" But he had cancer, and he also had an IT guy in his house who he had to be
all right. Yeah, I'm not going to knock anybody right now for their mask.
Yeah, we're not mask shaming. We are pro mask on this podcast.
But Gettleman and company are not it used to be. Coughlin and guys who you can take to the bank are going to be smart and maybe not going to win necessarily, but they're not going to do anything dumb. They're not goofy. They're not embarrassing. And now, you've had a run of embarrassing guys for a little while here that it's nothing you can just rest at night knowing you're good.
Yeah. The thing is, we are getting dangerously close to having a photoshopped statement saying that our star player has hand, foot, and mouth disease. We are getting closer, which, to be fair, not to go back to this, but and this is on ESPN, the graphic of Sam Darnold was very much, out indefinitely as he's pointing to the screen with mononucleosis. That was very Metsy with their stupid ass. And, an employee made a decision last night that we regret after finger. It was very much, it's a meme. Well, you don't want to go meme, and the Jets have gone meme. Hopefully the Mets stop going meme, but this Noah hand, foot, and mouth disease was just more of the same. I think we got to go Doc now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, landslide here, Doc. That might be, in my mind, that could be a Final Four run, because it's
a live 4 seed. That's Syracuse back in 2003. That's a live 4 seed right there.
Big time.
For sure.
6 versus 11. Vince Coleman throwing firecrackers at a crowd versus Cohen non-sale. Ooh, wait a minute. This is a big one. This is a huge matchup that I can't believe is a first rounder, because if you really want to break it down, this is symbolic of this could be a championship match in a lot of ways. Vince Coleman throwing a firecracker at a little girl's face is despicable. It's deplorable. It transcends sports, and it just is a low moment of putrid human behavior. It's dangerous. It's evil. Vince Coleman should have been thrown in fucking prison for decades for that. I mean, that was disgusting what he did. So that in mind, I'm acknowledging that is, hurting an innocent child is way worse than anything that can happen in sports. But if we're talking about the Mets here and the effect that all these things have on the New York Mets, the Steve Cohen non-sale is about as catastrophic as it gets. I mean, when you told me that, you said to me, what's the worst news you could imagine? And I didn't answer a girl getting hit in the face with a firecracker. Steve Cohen with that sale falling through. So
everything you said about Vince Coleman, despicable, deplorable, pox on humanity, all those things can also be said about Jeff Wilpon, no? So it's like you're just sentencing us to more. Like Vince Coleman had a contract. Once that contract was up, we knew we'd be done with him. Mm-hmm. Jeff Wilpon, he's going to just apparently, like Major League Baseball is going to be like, well, the entire fucking league is going broke, and the brokest of the broke boys owns a team in New York fucking City. I guess we'll just let them keep the team right now.
No, you know what? And I did this rant on CCK, but I want to make sure I reiterate it here. Ask for your refund. Get your money back. Do not buy into this bullshit about the credit that you'll get. The Wilpons offering you credit is like Doc Gooden being like, yeah, I'll get you back, man. Let me hold that money. I'll get you back. He's going to go fucking crack. That credit is going right in Jeff Wilpon's pocket. What's he going to do with it, Clem? What does he do with that money? Fucking gardens or something? He lands.
Oh, it's Memorial Day weekend party.
Memorial Day weekend party. This year,
you're buying him lobster with those fucking credits.
Exactly. Do not fall for that bullshit. You paid money for a game that is never going to happen. You paid for a seat for entertainment that is not going to happen. So do you know what you do? You ask for a refund. You get your money back, and you don't fall for their bullshit, because when all of us ask for our money back, they have to admit they're broke. When all of us say, here's the ticket, give me the money, and they have to say, guys, we don't have enough money to refund you, that means they are unfit. They cannot run this business, and that has to be the last straw. It has to be, right? You don't have enough money to run the basics. As an owner, you own a fucking a house of entertainment, and you provide tickets, and that's what you do. And if you cannot deal with the money and the receipts and the delivery of goods and services, then you cannot run your business. So ask for that refund. We missed our opportunity with the pregnant chick. We all should have rallied and stuck it to him and said that we will no longer support a bigot like him who harasses single women who are pregnant out of wedlock. And we missed our chance. And now we have our chance, and it's very fucking tangible. It's in our hands. It's fucking money for tickets. We have the power to now stick it to the Wilpons and expose them for the broke frauds that they are. So if you read that press release, Tim Healy said that the word refund appeared as like the 1,180th word in a 1,900 word press release. The last thing they want you to do is read the word refund. It's there, it's an option, and you have to take it, because this is our opportunity where we actually control the fate now by saying, give us our fucking money back, and by forcing them to say, we can't, we're broke, and by forcing Manfred to say, well, then we got to fucking take the team away from you. You dumb assholes.
You dumb fucks. I was talking to Kyle before we went live, and he says if you want a refund, you have to go in, create like a My Mets account, do all these fucking Yep, and just do it. It's going to take you 5 seconds, but if you let these guys get away with it, and this includes the Barstool at the Ballpark for March 28th. I know our girl Doelle J. I always say her fucking name, or she's going to kill me again for saying it wrong there. But she had tickets to with her kids, and everyone else has tickets to the Barstool at the Ballpark. Get your money back. Sign up for your My Mets account. Do whatever, because you're getting fucking Shroot bucks back from Jeff Wilpon. You're getting Wilpon bucks. Those things won't even wipe your ass. They'll fucking chap you up.
It's fake money. They don't have money to give you credit for anything. I know it. They are gonna make it so hard to get your refund. You're gonna have to sign up, jump through hoops. You're gonna have to confirm with this email and transfer you over here. And I implore you, I beg of you, if I had tickets, I would. I swear I would. Please beg for the refunds and stick it to them. It's our only opportunity. Now,
And
back to the bracket. I think I'm actually hopeful that this 11 seed will eventually not even be a thing on there. And so I don't know. I don't know whether to what frame of mind should we operate, right here in the here and now. Steve Cohen is dead and gone, or do we say, well, can we have this even advance when we're pretty hopeful that it might happen again?
I have to proceed with this. How I felt at the time when it happened, when I read the headline with Vince Coleman, or when we got the leak and we went to the podcast, the feeling I've had in my stomach every morning since, the emptiness inside. We have nothing. It's like when you lose a heartbreaker in 16 innings. I've had that fucking feeling in my stomach. Not even that. When you have like a 4-2 lead in the top of the 16th, and then Diaz comes in and gives him 3 runs in the ninth. I've had that feeling in my stomach because there's been no other real baseball to take it away every single fucking day since that happened. So the Steve Cohen's, we thought we had it. We thought we were out of it. You had the goddamn video. You basically fucked your fucking personal fortunes and our Mets fortunes by jinxing us and mushing us yet again. So I think you have to go based on that. If, hey, the next round, Steve Cohen comes in, swoops in, buys a team, someone else does all that kind of stuff, I think then we can look at this a little differently, even though the damage has been done to our psyche. I cannot trust now. I cannot trust anything out there. Which, by the way, so did you see the report last week? That guy, it's Wayne Rothbaum, is apparently the money guy for A-Rod and J-Lo's bid.
Okay.
And
the one who said we're only doing it on an extreme fire sale.
He likes the idea of $1 billion at an extreme fire sale. And our queen, Laura Goldman, says he wasn't even listed in Bloomberg's list of billionaires. His fund, Quogue Capital, isn't registered with the SEC, which is a requirement for those with more than $100 million in assets. But let me tell you, I don't know what any of that shit means. Wayne Rothbaum is a broke-ass bitch. That's what it means in my book. It means Uncle Stevie is not losing to that fucking guy.
No, that actually really makes me confident that, he's a wannabe finance guy. Because you're right, Steve Cohen won't lose to that. Even if it was just A-Rod and J-Lo, let's say they had enough money, I could see him being like, all right, they're a singer and a baseball player or whatever. They outbid me, fine, whatever. Or fucking Noah Syndergaard took credit for Big Sexy. And at the time, I remember being like, whatever, it's all good. You guys are both my dudes. Yeah. Well, actually, so that kind of got a mischaracter. Did Noah take credit for it, or did Tolo just think that was the case? But either way, Noah never really gave proper love. And at the time, I was like, it's all good, whatever. I don't need credit. Noah's cool too. But then, I ended up, I don't really like Noah anymore. So now I'm like, fuck that, dude. Come on. Give credit where credit's due.
I mean, the thing is, though, he called him Big Sexy because you called him Big Sexy. He read it on the blog and he started it's just who relayed the message. I'm happy it got there, whether or not it doesn't make a difference how it got to Big Sexy or got to Bartolo. It's all that matters. It got there.
I do imagine that at some point a question was asked, and rather than explaining, Noah probably was just like, yeah, I don't know, that's his nickname. I just call him that.
Yeah, that's right. It's wrong. We have to accredit, give the hat tip, give any kind of thing.
But anyway, the idea that another finance guy, another wannabe billionaire, will beat Steve, no. He ain't allowing that one.
Because then it just makes him look like a bitch. I don't know about Bobby Axelrod. I don't think that Bobby Axelrod just lets that go. And it's going to watch, and he's also going to watch an investment he wants go for $1 billion when he has many billions of dollars to spend on it.
That's the thing is we need Wayne Bluthenbaum, whatever the fuck his name was, to be heavily involved, because that will make Steve Cohen be like, wait a minute, what's he selling for? What? Because like I said, if it's like a Saudi prince who comes over here and he's talking big bucks, I could see Steve being like, all right, that's a worthy opponent. That's a worthy adversary. He's got money. He outbid me. He's not even like in my realm, whatever. But if a fake billionaire, fake finance guy gets to thump his chest and be like, I own the Mets, I think Steve's going to be like, no, we don't do that. So where are you falling? It sounds like ultimately you're going with Steve Cohen.
I got to go. I mean, I think Steve Cohen, like I said, Doc is a live 4 seed. Steve Cohen, it's like you cross off one of the ones in 11. He's a 1 seed. He's a fucking wolf in sheep's clothing right now here at the 11. Because, I mean, honestly, out of everything, I don't know if anything has crushed me more than the Steve Cohen thing. And I hate that we're the podcast that broke it to people. I didn't want to be I want to be the one that breaks that he's back in or buys it. It kills me that we're like somehow linked to this. You Google Steve Cohen non-sale and we're like mentioned, we are attributed, unlike Noah, who didn't attribute you for the name Big Sexy. We are being attributed with this pox on the fucking Mets house.
It makes sense though, like we said, like when good things happen, they're bad, and when bad things happen, they're good. It's like we finally got some news and we got put on the map a little bit. We got a bunch of downloads from that. It was good for business, but boy, did it hurt. So very fitting, even down to our podcast here with the Mets, that all things are always backwards and upside down and mismatched in this world. The Coleman thing was when the days were dark, man. A dark team.
Dark days.
And but yeah, you're right. As far as modern day and the Vince Coleman thing was a terrible incident. It was done. It was horrible, and that was it. The Steve Cohen thing could potentially have ramifications for the rest of our lives. And if there's any Mets fans like suicides anytime soon, that blood's on Steve Cohen and well, it's on the Wilpons' hands for the Steve Cohen thing falling through. So it moves on, and that might make a fucking run. Let's get through.
You know what? I'm putting Larry David's friend that killed himself. I don't even know if he was a Mets fan. I know he was Jets Knicks. I'm going to put that fake suicide on the Steve Cohen news as well.
Let's try to rip through the rest of the regions here. Can you read them out for me, Clem? Because I actually got the radio right
now. We got Kenny Rogers walk versus David Wright throwing out Noah's lunch.
Oh, I think David Wright throwing out Noah's lunch is a great moment.
That has done the opposite of the Steve Cohen here, where I think that is going to look better and better as the years go by.
Yeah.
So
I think at the time, people didn't know how to react because we liked Noah. And it was kind of like, wait a minute, why are we doing that? David seems to be like kind of being a tough guy, hardo. I think we should have seen the writing on the wall. I think we should have known what was up. Like when David Wright is not happy with you, there's a fucking reason, and you probably deserved it, you know. And Noah was acting like the hotshot rookie, and he hadn't done shit, and he deserved it, I think.
No, I'm with you 100%. Kenny Rogers' walk gutted me. I think I've said it on here a bunch of times. The 99 team was maybe my favorite team, if not top 2 or 3 at the absolute worst. And the fact it was that big, goofy fuck Kenny Rogers against the Braves, which to the day I die, will say the Mets would have been the first team to come back from a 3-0 deficit to win, to beat their rival in a playoff series, and he fucking walked home the winning run in the series capping game. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Ball 4 against the Braves, fucking Andrew Jones being the one that just like that. That's an all-time bad moment in all of sports that really doesn't get enough shine. Again, probably one of many with the Mets, but that is as bad as it gets. I think again. This half of this region has some seeds that are really going to make some fucking noise. Ball 4 Rogers is a championship contender in my mind. Mm-hmm. And again, to go back to the David Wright thing, like when you think about it, it was Matt Harvey who had beef with what was his name? Huge tall guy, John something.
John Ruch.
And Noah with David Wright. And you look, and it's like we know what happened with Harvey. We see that Noah's on that same path. And to be honest, I think that there was a reason why. I remember thinking that Matt Harvey was being like, oh, badass dude who doesn't take shit from nobody no matter who it is. And in reality, he was kind of an asshole who deserved it. And now it looks like the same thing with Noah and David. So bottom line is, when some of these old school professional guys are throwing out your fucking lunch or telling you how to act, it's probably because you fucking need a reality check. So listen up next time, because both those guys ended up being right, and those guys both ended up being assholes. So ball cruises.
I'm with you. Everything we've heard about David Wright, I mean, even Howie said he's basically the greatest human ever. He couldn't even pick who his like second place would be, because it would be such a disrespect to David Wright as terms of. And it was Noah was in the air conditioned locker room eating his lunch or whatever in the clubhouse while everyone else was outside eating. And when David Wright does something that aggressive, who was the team captain too at the time, so he kind of had to do it. He probably didn't want to do it, but he knew he had to. And it was him and Parnell, I remember. The fact he did it to Noah, and everything we know about Noah since then, and how he is basically Harvey 2.0, it seems, in a lot of regards, it kind of makes him look right. So I'm with you. I think it has to be Kenny Rogers, an all-time just awful fucking moment. Let me just, I have to shout this out too, because I looked it up when we were talking about it. Vince Coleman. His last year with the Cardinals was 1990. He batted .292, had 124 games, had 77 steals. His Mets tenure, he played 72, 71, and 92 games during his 3 years with the Mets. And his stolen base total was 37, 24, 38, batted .255, .275, .279. Then he goes to the Royals, his first year out of New York, bats .240, but he steals 50 bases in 104 games. He just did not give a fuck when he was with us. So shout out Vince Coleman for getting the bag and not giving a fuck.
Yeah, that is the definition of mail time right there. Fuck off, Vince Coleman, dickhead.
Because he goes $3 million with the Mets, $3 million. He goes from $1 million with the Cardinals to getting his $3 million with the Mets for 1, 2, 3 years, and then he goes to the Royals, gets a $3 million contract, and then he kind of just watches out of baseball. So shout out Vince Coleman for being basically every free agent we've ever signed to any kind of money. Next up, Jeff. Oh, I think we may have to save this for the next pod, because this is Jeff Wilpon firing the pregnant employee. This is the region. What do they call it? The region of death in the World Cup, where it's like it's one of my. This is the bracket of death right here, basically. So Jeff Wilpon
there, because I'm having trouble logging into the radio thing anyway, because we're gonna have to really break this one down, because in my mind this was the biggest missed opportunity where we had our chance, the organization had its chance, and we fucking blew it. And the world really dropped the ball on this one. So we'll wrap up here, and we'll pick up tomorrow or next week with not only that, but also Cespedes getting trampled by a wild boar, which is one of the best sports headlines ever. And we'll keep the Mets misery rolling. Do us a favor and tweet at the Gotta Believe Pod account your recollection of the Bartolo home run. Where were you when? Do you have any pictures, any videos, anything to reminisce with? Because I want to relive that moment as much as we possibly can here on May 7th, Bartolo Day. So happy Bartolo Day. Live it up. Enjoy it. Today is not a day to think about the Mets' misery, although we did do the bracket. Today is a day to think about the Mets' happiness and one of the best moments ever. So thank you, Big Sexy, for being you and all that you do. And we'll see you guys next week. Until then, you got to believe.
Gotta believe.
All right, I got to make a call.